ऐ फज़ले उमर तेरे ओ साफ़ करीमाना।
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. May the peace and blessings of God be upon you. Our dear viewers, we welcome you to this special program on the blessed life of Hazrat Musleh Maud radiallahu anhu, coming to you from MTA Gambia Studios. I'm your host, Abdurrahman Cham, and in this program, we'll discuss about the blessed life of Hazrat Musleh Maud radiallahu anhu, from his childhood to his life before khilafat, when he became a Khalifa of Hazrat Masih Maud alayhi salam, and also the grand prophecy regarding him. Joining me in the studios to discuss this very blessed topic, I have with me two of our scholars, missionaries of Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat the Gambia. On my immediate right, I have Ustaz Ibrahim Abbas Sahib, and on my far right, I have Ustaz Dawda S.K. Cham. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Ustaz, I will start the discussion with you, Ustaz Ibrahim Abbas Sahib. When we say Hazrat Musleh Maud radiallahu anhu, who was he?
A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. When we talk about Hazrat Musleh Maud radiallahu ta'ala anhu, we are referring to that son of the promised Messiah ﷺ, whose name was Mirza Bashirudeen Mahmud Ahmad radiallahu ta'ala anhu, who happens to be a fulfillment of a grand prophecy which was made by the promised Messiah ﷺ, and who later on also became the second Khalifa of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat.
Jazakumullah. Being a fulfillment of a prophecy, Hazrat Musleh Maud radiallahu anhu must have had a very special upbringing as a child. So, Ustaz Dawda S.K. Cham Sahib, I'll come to you. How was Hazrat Musleh Maud radiallahu anhu's childhood and also his early education growing up as a young man?
Ba'da a'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. I would say that Hazrat Musleh Maud radiallahu ta'ala anhu had a normal childhood. There had not been any special arrangement as such. One can say that there was a prophecy which it was being tried to be fulfilled. But if you look at his childhood, it was very rich, very diverse, and yet challenging. Childhood is characterized by certain features, as we know, moral upbringing. For the moral upbringing of Hazrat Musleh Maud radiallahu ta'ala anhu, Hazrat Imam al-Mahdi alayhi salam had put forward to the young child his own personal character. He tried to shape the moral and spiritual sensibilities of the child according to his own personal character. We also have the mother who shared the same vision with the father, as well as some companions of Imam al-Mahdi alayhi salam who eventually came to stay in Qadian. Every one of them took their turn and role in trying to shape the young child into a very astute, well-moraled, Islamically child. You also have, we know that in his childhood, there was childhood play, which is very characteristic of childhood. And it was discovered that he had interest in all the sporting activities that takes place in Qadian. Some of them are local Indian sports, some of them are international from Europe, like cricket and so forth. And it was discovered that in each of those seasons and those sports, he would take active role. He has this all-embracing nature that anything that comes, he tries to understand it and do his best. Stories from those childhood plays are very interesting. They show the kind of selfless leader he was, who was ready to even risk his own life to save others. And when it comes to childhood education, which is also a very fundamental feature of childhood, we see that in his early first, he started a home education where he learned the alphabets, and also he read the Holy Quran in 2 years' time from one Hafiz, Ahmad. When he completed the study of the Holy Quran, his father, Hazrat Imam al-Mahdi alayhi salam, organized an Amin ceremony for him, to which other friends and families and loved ones were invited. Even Hazrat Imam alayhi salam wrote a poem on that occasion. From there, he was enrolled into secular education. I must say that because of his ill health condition, he could not do much in school. his secular education ended when he could not pass the matriculation. Nonetheless, Hazrat Musleh Maud was discovered to have very strong affinity for religious education, and he took deep interest, personally motivating himself to study, to research. And then we have Hazrat Hakim Nuruddin, who radiallahu ta'ala anhu, who helped him by taking care of his education, teaching him the Holy Quran and the commentaries of the Holy Quran. And even that was conducted in a very interesting way. As I said, because of his eye, he could not read all the time on his own at that stage. Then Hazrat Hakim Nuruddin will read, and then he will listen. Those are some of the challenges he had in his childhood.
Indeed, and the atmosphere that he grew up in, being around the companions of Hazrat Masih Maud alayhi salam, played a very, integral part in developing a young Hazrat Musleh Maud radiallahu anhu growing up. So Ustaz Sahab, I'll come to you. Hazrat Musleh Maud's life before Khilafat, when he was young, growing up, how was this characterized, in briefly?
Yeah, we have had a lot of stories that are narrated about him when he was approximately 19 years below. But what many of those stories have shown is that his strong desire and his quest for religious education and his prayerful life too. We have seen in one of those narrations where a Sahaba of the promised Messiah ﷺ narrated that once he met him in Sajda in the Mubarak Mosque, and then the scene was so much that the Sahaba was compelled to pray to Allah and said, God, whatever this young man is asking from you, please do grant it. Finally, when he rose up from Sajda, he noticed that this was the son of the promised Messiah ﷺ. When he approached him and asked him, what did you take from your Allah today? The young man said, I only ask my Allah to see Islam as a living religion. So that grew up from, he was with that from a very early childhood, and then that multiplies as he was growing up. And it is narrated also about him that when his father passed away, he made a strong promise which he kept throughout his life. His promise was that even if the whole world will turn against the mission of the promised Messiah ﷺ, and him alone left, he will stand in defense of it, and he will make sure that by all means the mission for which the promised Messiah ﷺ was sent has been accomplished. And we see also later on, just about some few months, some Sahabas of the promised Messiah ﷺ threatening the very institution of khilafat. And it is narrated that Musleh Maud radiallahu ta'ala anhu at that age was one of those who supported the first Khalifa. In fact, he was the first person to come and take bay'at from the hand of the first Khalifa. So we can see that he had this strong dedication and love for the Jamaat and then the institution of Khilafat and Islam in general.
Yes, indeed. And also, I want to pick it up from there. You said during the time of the first Khalif, there was some opposition towards, the very institution of Khilafat. And Hazrat Musleh Maud he stood firm to defend that institution. So Ustaz Sahab, that will bring me to my next question to you. What were some of the challenges he faced when he became a Khalifa of the promised Messiah ﷺ at a very young age?
Hazrat Musleh Maud radiallahu ta'ala anhu faced two major challenges, if we will put it that way. One is internal, and the internal one he inherited from the time which started in the beginning, from the time of the first Khalifa, the assault on the institution of Khilafat, where members of Sadr and Juman felt that they were the heirs of the promised Messiah, so they are kind of responsible for the administration of the Jamaat, and the Khilafat was just a symbol. Then when he became a Khalifa, very young age, 25 years, they ridiculed him. They mocked at him that this young man will destroy this Jamaat. He will not be able to lead this Jamaat to its ultimate victory. Their hostility and ridiculing of him just multiplied over time. It became more intensive, so much so that some of them even left Qadian and went to settle somewhere else. And by so doing, they took away with them most of the resources of the Jamaat. And then that brought the financial challenge that he had to face, because here is the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat, the mission of his father, at a very nascent, at a very early stage, which need funds to take care of various activities. But the Anjuman took away all the funds. There was strong financial challenges. And then, of course, outside the Jamaat, you have the enemies of the Jamaat, the Ahrar movement, and so many other enemies of the Jamaat who are doing their best to undermine the Jamaat, some of them even claiming that they are going to destroy the Jamaat. So Hazrat Musleh Maud had all these challenges, but nonetheless, he had a very clear vision of what was the purpose of the movement, that is to bring about the ultimate victory, to revive Islam and to bring about its victory all over the world. So Allah Almighty guided him to develop various schemes, to come out with various programs to elevate the very moral, spiritual education of the members. And also, of course, his vision did not only end up for the Jamaat, but even for the Muslim all over the world. He wants to see Islam revive, Islam become a vibrant, living force in the whole world. So those are some of his visions, and much of his effort were directed towards that achievement.
Indeed, Jazakumullah Ustaz Dawood Sahib. And Muslim Maud Radiallahu Anhu was a very, very visionary, a great visionary, a visionary leader who had great vision for this Jamaat. And as mentioned, he promised his father when he passed away that even if the whole world leaves you, I will stand by you. I will stand by the mission that you've brought, that you've come with. And indeed, Ustaz Dawood Sahib mentioned it, he has done a lot of things. He has, to fulfill that promise that he made to his father to organize this Jamaat. So viewers, we've organized a presentation which we'll share with you, and we'll leave you to enjoy that. When we come back to the studios, we'll continue with our discussions.
Hazrat Mirza Bashirudeen Mahmud Ahmad radiallahu anhu became Khalifa of Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat at the tender age of 25 years. Huzur had been an active member of the Jamaat since his early age, and this spirit continued during his Khilafat. Jamaat took some huge leaps in his Khilafat with the establishment of Tariq-e-Jadid. In 1934, Huzur expanded Jamaat to international boundaries through the establishment of mission houses in Europe and Africa. Waqf-e-Jadid, a similar scheme, was formed by Huzur to promote the activities of Jamaat in the remote areas of India and Pakistan through local missionaries. Jamaat's famously known auxiliary bodies were also formed by Hazrat Musleh Maud Radiallahu Anhu. Lajna Imaullah, Majlis Qudamul Ahmadiyya, Majlis Ansarullah, Atfalul Ahmadiyya, and Nasiratul Ahmadiyya were formed to better distribute and carry out the tasks of training and education of various members of Jamaat. Among his other establishments include Majlis Shura, Nazarat Talim, Nazarat Baitul Mal, and Fazal Umar Hospital. His Tafsirul Kabir, a detailed commentary on the translation of the Holy Quran, is one of his most renowned and major works in the field of Islamic education, which not only shows his immense understanding and devotion to Quran, but also is a sign of his divine knowledge. He wrote numerous books on different topics. Some of his books are Introduction to the Study of the Holy Quran, Remembrance of Allah, Life of Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, The Economic System of Islam, Way of the Seekers, etc. This is only a small glimpse of achievement of Hazrat Musleh Maud Radiallahu Anhu. May Allah help us all to reach up to the expectation of this great leader. Amen.
Well, viewers, we hope you enjoyed that presentation we had on the blessed life of Hazrat Musleh Maud, his schemes and what he has done. And we welcome you back to the studios to discuss more on this topic. And Now we'll just go on the blessed prophecy that the promised Messiah والسلام, received from Allah Almighty regarding a promised son. So, Ustaz Ibrahim Basa, the prophecy of Hazrat Musleh Maud, Radiallahu anhu, how did this prophecy come about?
This prophecy have been recorded in many books, but the fulfillment was in the person of Musleh Maud radiallahu ta'ala anhu. And I think the last person to prophesy about it was the promised Mirza alayhi salatu wasalam. And the promised Mirza alayhi salatu wasalam have said before the prophecy itself, he said one thing. He said, I wish to bring before you the fact that the one true religion that has earned God's consent and pleasure is Islam, and that the divinely protected and practical book from him is the Holy Quran. So he invited all the people of the world, all the religions in the world, to know that Islam is the only living religion, and the Holy Quran is the only religious book that can guide mankind today. So if they want to see a sign of the living God, he invited them to come to Qadian and stay with him. They will see the sign of the living God of Islam. So there was these Hindus who came to him and claimed that they are better entitled to see the truth of Islam than all the others, because they were living with him in Qadian. So they challenged him to bring forward a fulfillment of what he is talking about. And then he decided to go for seclusion, where he will spend 40 days and 40 nights. He spent those 40 days and 40 nights in Hoshiarpur. And then at the end of the 40 days and 40 nights, he published a publication that Islam will soon be blessed with a son. And that son will be characterized by many divine attributes. Approximately 52 attributes was published in that prophecy, that a son will be born to him and he will be having very different characteristics that he will be identified for when he comes. Prophecy states that a son will be born within a period of 9 years. So thereafter, a daughter was born, who died shortly after that, and then a son was also born, who was called Bashir, and who died shortly after his birth. The enemies of the promised Messiah ﷺ did not waste time to take up that. So for them, it was just a challenge that has no basis. They were just up to ridiculing and mocking the promised Messiah ﷺ. And then he came out also to publish another document called the Green Announcement, which, he stated, reminded them that it was the son will be born within 9 years, and it was not yet 9 years. So that son, when he came into the world finally, there was so much about him that could say that this was him. But then, even the promised Mirza ﷺ, I think in 3 of his books, he pointed to the fact that it was Hazrat Mirza Bashirudeen Mahmud Ahmad who would be, or who is, the fulfillment of that prophecy.
Jazakumullah. And Ustaz mentioned that when the prophecy was published, Hazrat Musleh Maud alayhi salam, because he mentioned a period, he said a son, a daughter was born who passed away, a son came who passed away, and he was ridiculed. Then a son came, Hazrat Mirza Bashirudeen Mahmud Ahmad, and today we claim that he is the fulfillment of that prophecy of Musleh Maud. So Ustaz Daud Sahab, how can we prove that Hazrat Mirza Bashirudeen Mahmud Ahmad, the second Khalif of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat, is the fulfillment of that prophecy? And did he himself made any claim that I'm the fulfillment?
When we come to the fulfillment of the prophecy, indeed, as Ustaz Ibrahim stated, in 3 books of Hazrat Imam al-Mahdi alayhi salam himself, he had indicated that Musleh Mahmud, or the promised son, was none other than Mahmud radiallahu ta'ala anhu. Nonetheless, if you look at the life of Hazrat Bashirudeen Mahmud Ahmad, the great qualities, leadership, intellectual, and all other wonderful qualities that he exhibited or that were manifested, all go to show that he was indeed a promised son. You know, a human being may even suggest that he will have a son, but he cannot in any possible way predict that the son will have this and that quality, and it all unfolded exactly like that. That could only happen through a divine, one can say, something divine. Hazrat Mirza Bashirudeen Mahmud Ahmad himself, at one point in his life, in 1940, he had delivered a Friday sermon where he said he didn't feel the need to claim that this prophecy was fulfilled, because after all, he was not commissioned. If prophecy was just fulfilled, but nonetheless, looking at the event that had transpired in his life, it could be concluded that he was indeed the promised son. Then in 1944, due to a series of dreams that he had been experiencing, he came out to say that he was indeed the promised son. A series of meetings were organized to signify the importance of the fulfillment of this prophecy. The greatest one happened in Hoshiarpur, 20th February in 1944, where a lot of people were invited. Lahore also, there was this meeting there, and also in other places. So personally, he himself had made the claim. But what I want to say is that in conclusion, you look at the 52 years of Hazrat Mirza Bashirudeen Mahmud, the things that unfolded there, the achievement that he registered, both within the Jamaat, within the Islamic world, and also in the international arena, you will definitely know that he was indeed the promised son. He found institutions, he found a great city of Rabwa, he participated in even political efforts to settle the Kashmiri people. You know, there was this Kashmiri committee where he was even unanimously chosen as the leader, because they saw the leadership, the great leadership quality that he possessed, and also the affairs of the people of Palestine. Even the very creation of Pakistan itself, he played wonderful leadership in the creation of Pakistan itself. So in the life of Hazrat Muslim, when you come to the intellectual arena, you see the Holy Quran, he brought out a powerful way of commentary which is unparalleled. As at now, there's no such commentary like it. The science of the study of the Holy Quran, how the Quran is in, the teaching of the Quran are in harmony with the human nature. All those efforts and a lot more, so that he was indeed the great, he was indeed a fulfillment of that great prophecy.
Jazakumullah. And indeed, if we want to see the fulfillment, we just need to look at the life of Hazrat Musleh Maud Raziallahu Anhu, a great man, a great leader who wrote many books, like Ustaz Saab mentioned. Tafsir Kabir is, one of his greatest works he has ever done. And this has not been replicated anywhere in the world today. And his leadership quality, the vision he had for the Jamaat and all that. So Ustaz Ibrahim Basab, what can the Jamaat, as Jamaat members, what can we learn from the life of Hazrat Musleh Maud Raziallahu Anhu?
I think that is very clear from the very name of Musleh. Our present Khalifa, Ayyadahu Ta'ala bin Nasir al-Aziz, has always drawn our attentions to the very meaning of Musleh. Then that is reformation. So for us, it's not that when we study his life, we study it like we study history books. No, we study his life for us to try to get something from that, to try to be like him, to try to reform ourselves in the best way that we can. So his coming into the world for us is a sign of the living God. It's a sign of the truthfulness of Islam. It's a sign of the truthfulness of the promised Messiah alayhi salatu wasalam. is a sign also that God Almighty still speak to his servants. Therefore, for us is to look at his life and try to get something out of it, rather than just being blindly following, and we will not get anything out of his life.
So indeed, we have to reform ourselves. We have to always be open to reformation so that we can attain that nearness of Allah Almighty that Hazrat Musleh Maud so deservedly earned. And we pray that he is with the chosen servants of God, Allah Almighty. So Ustaz Daud, just very briefly because of time, a very, very great visionary, a visionary leader, Hazrat Musleh Maud Radiallahu anhu was. What can world leaders learn from his life as a leader?
I would say sacrifice. He had sacrificed whatever he got for the sake of humanity, for the sake of Islam, for the sake of the Jamaat. He was a very selfless person whose greatest concern is to uplift the well-being of mankind, to see peace, love, justice, and prosperity. So leaders should emulate his life to lead their people with love, even if they have to suffer for their people. You know, that's the sacrifice.
MashaAllah. Jazakumullah. And well, viewers, because of time, this is all that we have for you. But if you want to learn more about the blessed life of Hazrat Musleh Maud Radiallahu anhu, you can visit the website of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat. That's www.alislam.org. www.alislam.org to learn more about the blessed life of Hazrat Musleh Maud Radiallahu anhu. And that's all we have for you today until we come your way next time. From us here from MTA Gambia Studios, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuhu.